I gotta ask because, like, you know, we see like high school movies and everything like that, and in America there's normally like some delinquents and stuff like that. I gotta know because, like, my image of Japanese school kids is that they're very well behaved and stuff like that. Is that true or not? So,
well, yes, I would say 97% of students are very well behaved, if not too behaved, where you're like, it's like so hard to...
It's like, hello, is there anyone in there?
Yeah, and so, but then I did teach at a school once that was a delinquent level school where they had been...
Delinquent level school?
Yeah, so if you don't...
Well, there's a school that all the delinquents conglomerate.
Yeah, and so one kid could have, had a, violent past. The other kid could just be really shy. And then these two girls could just be like, I dropped out. But like, you got to teach some, and those are the ones where it's really awkward. You're like, today's lessons is, and then somebody in the back would be like, titties. And you're like, nope, that's not today's lesson. He's like, ball sack. And you're like, no, that's not on there either. Do you want to try again? He's just like, titty ball sack. And I'm like, are you a student? Because you look 31. And he'll be like, oh, machigaeta, sumimasen, and then he'll like leave or something. You're like, okay. Those, you do get kids. Like I remember we had a group photo, and I felt so bad for this co-teacher. She's quite young, and she was like 24, 25, and we taught this course, and all of them were a sports course. So they were like really into all of the things that a hot-blooded young man will be into, and that's not great to be in that scenario with this poor young teacher. And we took a group photo, and right at the last second, 3 of the baseball boys dropped their pants, and they're just like in their whitey tighties, just posing. And this is like for the school, and I'm like, we can't have that. Let's try taking that again. Yeah. And then 6 kids took their pants off.
Oh no!
And I was like, all right, I'm getting fired. I was like, they're like, how was your English lesson? I was like, well, we stripped, and then kids were swinging their, those kids are very rare, but I think once they learn a bad word, oh man, or they'll say like, Pita sensei, and I'll be like, yeah. He's like, oppai suki desu ka? And I'm like, what's that word? And it's boobs. Yeah. And I'll be like, I've never heard that. And he's like, oppai. And I was like, no, I've eaten the tabemo. He's like, and you're like, I've never heard that. And then they'll just keep digging it deeper and
to get a reaction.
And so you could say to yourself,
oh, they sound like YouTube comments.
Well, those kids they're memorable, but it's pretty rare because I'd say most kids are extremely well behaved. But you do get some characters who want to learn about the different words they've seen on an American TV show or they watch this podcast or they've learned some new words. But that part can be tough. But in high school, at the private one, you got to be pretty straight laced. And so,
for sure.
One complaint I often hear teachers or Japanese teachers, not Japanese, foreigners teaching English in Japan, is that it often feels like you're very replaceable.
Extremely.
Like you're almost always made to feel that like, oh, we're waiting for you to leave so we can get the next person in. Like there's almost a sense of you're not valued as like a member of the team in a sense. I don't know if I'm capturing that quite correctly.
You're definitely are we recording this? Or?
Yeah.
I thought you were just
we didn't stop recording, by the way.
That's okay. So you're right. So you're definitely not a core part of the team. In fact, a lot of the times they'll sit the foreigner group into their own little square, if not in a different room completely.
Jesus Christ.
And then that's actually better than being a part of the group sometimes because then you have shared tasks. But the thing you mentioned is, I think the turnover rate is so high for teachers in Japan that the real teachers don't want to get a chance to get to know you, attached, or figure out your methods. It's just, hey man, you just got to do it. And another thing is, it's actually a rule in Japan that every 6 or 7 years, all of the teachers must rotate out of the school. So you can't, this is a real thing. So you'll be...
Is there a reason why?
I think it's to encourage not resting on your laurels or
Wait, every teacher? Every
teacher. So you'll go and teach with a guy like, Mr. Ishikawa or something, and he'll be like, 2 years, in 2 years he's gone. Like, that's it. But then another teacher was there for like 5 more. So you kind of get used to that, or a teacher will come back and he'll be like, natsukashi, it's very nostalgic. I used to work here 14 years ago. And you're like, wow, okay. So they get sent to different schools, and sometimes that's literally a horrific change because you can go from like a really great school that has model students to a delinquent school or to a tech school, or those are not bad schools, but I mean, like, you could be
Different
used to
environment,
something that can be very stressful.
Yeah.
And the same is for the foreign teachers. We unless it's a private school, you can be hired there forever, which is my last job. But the other ones, you get used to the shuffle, and it's a terrible dread when you go to the meetings and you're like, what's my assignment this year? Or on the Eikaiwa, you might have, when I was an Eikaiwa teacher for the drama one, I had about 5 different locations, like all around Japan. I'd be like Yoyogi, which is in Tokyo, and I'd be like in Kemioka, which is the opposite end of Yokohama, or you have like a different day, you'd go to a different studio.
Jesus.
At the beginning of the year, you'd get your new assignment, and it'd be like 6 new places that may or may not be anywhere close to your home. So
I'm assuming they're
they
not
have
reimbursing travel fees.
gachified.
they do reimburse.
They have gachified teachers
They've
as well now.
gachified it all, man.
I was like, all right, this year, please give me the S.
Yeah,
Every time I think there's something Japan can't gachify, they prove me wrong, baby.
That's
Gotcha occupations. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I got that. I never got an S, by the way. I got a lot of L's. I don't know if that's a.
I'd heard of a few cases where someone had been given their location where they were going to teach in Japan, and it was so remote or shit that they just didn't enjoy it and they just left.
Like Niigata.
Maybe well, Niigata is one of the better ones, honestly.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because you could be really remote. Like,
Well,
some people had to take like boats or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend who taught in the middle of the mountains in Mie.
Oh man.
And that's like really fucking middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
and people would just leave. They wouldn't
Yeah.
say anything. They would just, I'm going back to Tokyo. I'm getting the flight back. I'm not doing this. Like,
Yeah, it's especially, JETS, notoriously. A JET is a government-sponsored program. I think it's called like the Japanese Exchange Teaching Program or something like that. But they have great money and great benefits and a lot of holiday time. And that's, if you do want to come and teach, I highly recommend that's the first option, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
They guarantee you some money. But the thing is, it's the great gotcha of our day. You have very little agency in where you are placed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you pass the interview and they ask you, was there any particular location you'd like to teach at?
And everyone says Tokyo.
Yeah,
or-
but that actually, I've heard, eliminates a lot of the people. Like,
Oh, really?
because for a long time, Jets were not in Tokyo until just about 4 or 5 years ago. They finally opened it back up. But if you say like Osaka, Tokyo, Yokohama, they'll be like, they don't want you, because they can probably suss out that you're here for an anime pop-up convention or like another activity or something
Right.
that's your focus.
You're
is
not
not
here to
regions.
experience the real Japan.
Yeah, so that's a quick way. But yeah, you'll get people who, I met Jets when I was in Niigata, and they would just be like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I've been here 3 years, and it's like, it's so much snow, but I like snowboarding now. And you're like, okay. But you're right. You could get sent to Ehime, which is a beautiful place, but it's nowhere near. It's a different island.
It's not very eventful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. People will just. That's how I got my job. Or no, mine was because of the. Yeah.
The other one.
Yeah, the other one.
The other one, the Prince Andrew stuff. But, I don't think you can say that, but yeah, I probably can't say that. But like,
You can say
that's
that,
why
that's
we
fine.
got kicked out, or they got kicked out. But like, it was not uncommon.
Wait,
Well, I don't know.
they?
Well, not, we were okay, but like
Okay.
Previous people.
Yeah,
The
the
previous
previous
people.
people.
Yeah.
There were a lot of times where someone would like just be like, they just ghosted. Even at my private school, right when COVID hit, this Texan was like, I'm out. And he left in the dead of night with his wife.
Damn.
And on like one of the last flights out of Tokyo. And we have like a full, he's a teacher. And so they were like, oh, Pita Sensei, you have you have 6 more lessons this year. And I'm like, well, do I get 6 more times pay, or how does that work? Are we divvying up his? No, we're not. Okay.
Well, he just literally just left. And
He just left, and I think he was a little bit concerned with the upcoming year of like what his responsibilities were. He was probably happy in the job itself, and I think he was like, you know what? I'm not going to be here for this COVID thing. I don't know the deal. I don't know. And then he just gone. And he messaged me. He called me, and he was like, "What's up, man?" It was like maybe 9:30 at night for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, where are you at? Are you at like a studio? What's that? He's like, that's the sun. I'm at home in Texas. And I was like, what? And I was like, the Cornea virus. He's like, Corona. I didn't know the name. I had no idea. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea yet. It was still like, we didn't know what was going on yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, that shit's still out. And he was like, yeah, I left, man. And if you want that TV you gave me, I left the door unlocked. And I was like, what? Yeah, you live like, you left the furniture and everything out. So yeah,
Damn.
that does happen. So
Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Well, because it's a big problem, right? I suppose there's nothing essentially stopping you from just upping and leaving. And
Oh
having
yeah,
everyone else
Japanese
stop
people. You hear about Japanese people doing it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, when they just want to escape, they're like sick of their work or whatever, and it's called yonige in Japanese, but it's literally just escaping at night and just fucking leaving everything behind, just out.
man,
And just going somewhere, whether it's in Japan or a different country.
Man,
just
I'd be like,
changing
but I
your
want
life.
to take the PS5 though. I brought,
Yeah.
It doesn't fit in the backpack.
I feel like I don't know where this resolve comes from in people. I suppose the job is that soul crushing that
Sometimes you just wake up one day and
you're
you're
like,
like,
fuck it.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
just
it.
like, I need a change. You
Yeah.
know?
It's crazy.
Sometimes you just need to like,
And that's
escape,
why, and
right?
that's one of the reasons why, like in this day and age, like the process of like renting an apartment or a house or whatever it is so strict because
Yeah.
they've had so many instances of tenants just fucking up and leaving. And then that causes all sorts of problems to not just like the building, but also like the insurance company, all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the few reasons why like it's so hard to get an apartment here because they're like, we got to give you this apartment, but you better not fucking run away.
yeah.
And it's kind of sad that that's like a
the
measure
case?
that they have
Yeah.
to take.
Yeah.
it's a stark reality when you enter the world of education.
Yeah.
Or just
Or just
buying a
Japanese
home, or just
workforce,
Japanese
yeah.
work, yeah.